I were to use a social influencer or blogger for our PR campaign in Asia, what do I need to look out for? So how do you identify if someone is a good social influencer or not?
So at Sinclair, we work with a lot of bloggers and a lot of wannabe bloggers. So just because you go on Instagram or their Facebook account and you see they might have 50,000 followers or something, doesn't necessarily mean that they've actually got those followers. Have a look at their engagement, because someone with 50,000 followers might have 10 engagement, 10 likes or something, and it's easy, very simple to spot them out. But then for Instagram, we have another influencer in the audience there, Tracy. Instagram has this thing where they actually suggest accounts for people to follow. And so a new person who signs up on Instagram might be shown Tracy's account, and what happens is you gain a lot of ghost followers. It doesn't necessarily mean Tracy's trying to game the system or anything. So she might have 20,000 followers or something, and her engagement also might be quite low. So I'd suggest that meet the blogger, ask them if they know their stuff, and then see where it goes from there. But just don't dive in and have your wits about yourself.
Yeah, so previously we have a client that was one of the biggest beer brands in China, and they run this Chinese New Year campaign, and they have a big KPI to be achieved. There's like 1 million new followers in 1 month or two, like 2 or 3 weeks before the Chinese New Year holidays. And they hire, if I'm not mistaken, they spend like half of the budget on hiring the KOLs. They have 50. But they did not evaluate the influence of those followers, of those KOLs. Like they can see, like on this profile, this person has like 10,000 followers, but they do not really do a check on the followers to see how many of them are zombies, to see how many of them are actually active. So they spent a lot of money. They did, like those bloggers did do their jobs. They posted, they tweeted, they retweeted those branded content, but somehow they just, at the end of the day, they realize it's not generating that much buzz as expected. Then they came back to see, okay, we have spent so much money on so many different KOLs, but they did not even post good quality content. They just checked that, okay, those 50 people did tweet about us, but they did not really check about the content quality. So not even say they have a very healthy follower pool, not many of them would be retweeting those not so good content. And they did not do a follow-up on the report either. So then they just knew something went wrong in between. Somehow we spent so much money, but we did not create enough buzz. So just be careful about the people you chose, and just you need to check on them yourself. Do not really trust what they say. Even I'm very powerful on Weibo.
My company just start using Facebook fan page, and what should we focus? Because if we focus on the number of likes, but how can I turn these likes into engagement?
Well, I think we would classify a like as an engagement, but if you want to convert them to an action like buying something, I think what gets overlooked in this scale, like you have scalable channels where you can push things out, is that there's real people on the other end, and so you can, you can make propositions and call to actions to those people, and you have to try that, right? Instead of just creating content all the time that engages.
Would you mind telling us what industry you're in? Real estate. Okay, so for instance, what you could do is, if I'm a new buyer and I don't know much about the real estate industry, what you could do is you could actually give me tips, or you could offer me some value, some sort of thing. Don't dive right into the sales part, because that's just going to shut me right off. Keep doing it until you gain my trust. And eventually what you want to do is you want to be able to get my email, whether that's through a sign-up button or leading me to your website, or wherever, a landing page. You can try those out. And then once you've got my email, again, don't dive right in and send me a sales call or whatever, you know. Offer me some more value, and slowly but surely you'll gain my trust, and you'll be surprised. You'll actually have the other person, the consumer, calling you and saying, hey, you know what, you gave me a lot of good information, I'd like to meet up. And then it's completely down to your personal skills. That's it.
This is related to an earlier question. For a small business owner, how do you do the social media listening? And what are the best platforms to do the social media listening?
So I'm guessing you're in photography? Yeah? Okay, perfect, right? So for instance, let's take a real life example, right? There's a Thai restaurant just around the corner called Cha Cha Wan. If you've got a name like that, there's chances not many people are going to be mentioning you. So you've got free tools that will help you sort that out. But if you've got something like photography, and you've got, if you're using Google Alerts, you're using Talk Alerts, any of those tools, chances are you're going to pick up a lot of noise. You want to be using something, and if you've got the budget, try something more pro. It could be Adobe Social, it could be a platform called Movie. You just need to find out all these platforms, and the great thing is, all of them will give you a trial. So you need to have a look. You know, call their sales team. Say, hey, this is my name. Can you show me a report for what's being mentioned on me? And then you basically tailor it to your needs, and then pick one that you find the most helpful, I guess.
Hi, a bit on giving values to our customers and Hong Kong people love freebies. So I have a company that's working on custom watches, and we ran into an issue recently. Basically, we tried really hard to give out a free watch, but then no one came to take it. So, see, now the interesting thing is we know that every time I talk to someone, they would be interested to take it. But once we put it on Facebook, no one comes and grab it. The first time we was like, okay, just draw us anything, literally anything. So people start drawing things on paper, napkins, and then sending to us. And then we eventually had a winner. And that was like, out of 5 people who sent us something that easy. And then now we thought, okay, that was too complicated, people had to draw. So now we start to ask people to, okay, just tell us something about your father, include that in your, something that we would want to include in your watch for your Father's Day gift. We put it on there, we had like 5 posts coming out, we tried to make our posts simpler. We tried quite a few things. No one came to take it. Well, we had 1 or 2, and one of them being one of our contacts trying to help us see that entry. So it's kind of sad there, and then I look at it, I wonder, okay, maybe no one saw it, but we have over 1,000 people who saw that post already. So I guess the question really there is, how do we do these giveaway effectively? If we're a startup that's pretty new, so we have around 300 followers on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, so it's around there for each of the channel. So maybe that gives you a bit of context, and this, I think, Kay probably would be the best person to answer.
It's your watch company called Eonic.
Yes.
So, for instance, there you go. I need to keep my eye. Okay. That's a great question, actually. And let me give you an example. I don't know how many of you guys have heard of a company called Grana. So they're a company that does clothes. And what they did recently is they collaborated with a startup called Boxful. And this was very clever because what they did was they asked people to guess how many shirts were in this box. And think about it, it's so simple. All people who are on Facebook, who are on Twitter, who are on Instagram, all they need to do is write down one number. When, for instance, the reason why I followed you guys is because, you know, I'm a watch aficionado, and I would have sent one in, but I just don't have the time, you know? You need to keep it super simple. You need to get them to know, you need to have a teaser or something to let them know what is Eonic, you know? By the way, do check it out, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, my only advice would be to keep it really simple.
people will draw something, but it depends on the incentive. If you probably give a Porsche away, people will probably make an effort to make a little doodle. So I think it's a combination of things. It's not. I think Kay was just a bit lazy in this case. Question?
Thank you. Just to add up to your question, I have been working the last months here in Hong Kong as a new startup. We are in the fashion business, working with something really new, which is trying to change the mindset of luxurious brands, which is actually heavily embedded in the Hong Kong culture. Trying to shift this mindset or open the mind of local people to different brands and designers coming from different latitudes. Specifically, we're working with South American designers. Right now, we have some purses and bags. Yeah. No, it's to add a little bit, but to explain how actually we have been successful somehow bringing, for example, followers. As you mentioned before, Instagram is an interesting place to start to get exposure. But what may help you, for example, with local people, we have found, for example, hashtags are a really powerful tool for bringing followers in Instagram. Why? Because, for example, in the fashion industry, people who is actually in the industry, they tend to use certain hashtags like fashion Hong Kong or purses Hong Kong in our case. And these, we have sort of seen that this actually helps a lot to bring new customers, especially in our industry. So I would encourage you to go and check hashtags, for example, if you use Instagram, because actually this may actually bring a lot of new people.
That's quite funny because the last question is about hashtags. So I did not rehearse this. Should I use hashtag in Facebook postings? So that's probably leading up to you. Who wants to take that Facebook? Anyone? Is it still relevant? Because obviously, I don't know, I guess everyone knows what a hashtag is, but they introduced this in Facebook. Obviously, in Instagram is quite popular in Twitter, but is it still relevant in Facebook? Do people actually search for hashtags in Facebook?
I don't think it's that great on Facebook, but I would suggest to keep using them because, for instance, Twitter, you normally use hashtags, and I don't know if you guys have been following the recent updates. Google now lets you search Twitter on their search engine, so potentially it could be, you could type in a hashtag on Google, and you've got all these amazing results that pop out of Twitter. So who knows? Maybe in the future that Facebook might collaborate with Google or any other search engine, and you don't want to take a chance and miss out on that. So I'd suggest stick to a minimum, keep it to 1 or 2, and just measure your results, I guess.
For us, we encourage if we have a campaign, we encourage our followers to use the specific hashtag and set their post as public, so it can be searched. For brands we do that. We encourage them all the time, but we only have 1 or 2 very specific hashtags. We do not create like 10 or 1,000 based on different campaigns. We keep it very simple, very easy, like something tips. Do you know, like something very small, very catchy, and you can use it like everywhere. Like for each post, you can have a hashtag for it. But that's very easy, very simple. And the followers can just use this hashtag and for you to build up your follower base on the social media.
Yeah, I guess my point of view is that if for no other reason, it's important to have 1 or 2 if you're small, and maybe a couple more if you're much bigger, to kind of concentrate, focus in terms of the content and the programs that you're going to run in social. Because I think what a lot of, especially smaller marketers, don't understand about communications is that it takes an incredible effort to break through, and incredible consistency over a long period of time, or a massive budget to really kind of capture somebody's attention, right? And too many marketers move too quickly through too many things, hoping that something will catch fire, and you know, unless it's fairly consistent effort, it's hard to break through.